You're listening to The Great and Secret Knowledge, a speculative fiction podcast. I'm Jeff, and with me is the wonderful Sophia.
Good dog.
Good dog indeed. Here we go. We're talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, episode 12, Datalore. This is one of the greats. Data's really coming into his own in this one. And the actor gets to play another part, which is always fantastic. One with a full range of human emotions. What did you think of this one?
I really liked it. I thought it was fun. And it was interesting that there was so much mystery around Data, because when they first introduced him, it didn't seem like that to me. It just seems like, oh, I was made by someone. And I wasn't sure if it's just... There was lots and lots of these kind of androids everywhere, and they were just getting them out on this factory, But so I enjoyed this kind of mystery, yeah.
The idea that he's been in Starfleet for 25 years and they know almost nothing about him, it's amazing. And they've only just now decided to go back?
Yeah, but I mean, if it takes really long to go there, maybe then they would be like, oh, now we're in the neighborhood, now we should go there. But does it take long? I think it must take long, right?
They'll only be there hours.
Oh,
so
yeah, that is weird.
That it's like slightly off their course.
But I feel like they didn't... I feel like they didn't really expect it to be all dead. So for some reason they were like, oh, he was made here, but it was like... Maybe they just feel like the galaxy is so full of strange things that they are just like, oh, there's also an android, and they don't feel like it's such a pressing mystery. But yeah,
it seems unlikely, but
yeah.
I just like the idea, because canonically we have to assume that Data has never told anyone where he came from, or like he's resisted all attempts to visit, and no one else has thought to visit. Like, they just leave colonies alone out in the middle of nowhere and, like, never check in. None of their friends and family are like, I haven't heard from my friends for 25 years.
Yeah, I agree. That is weird. And in the sense also that, because when I thought that there were a lot of androids, then it makes more sense that they would have them, as officers and such. But if Data is the only one, then it does seem kind of weird that I feel like they would want to know a little bit more about him to be able to determine.
I think it's purely a function of they wanted him to have spent a lot of time in Starfleet, but they also want us to learn about Data rather than just be told all this stuff.
Yeah. To kind of discover it along with the others.
Yeah, because if he had visited there already, all this crap would have already happened, and we don't want that.
No, but I mean, it does seem to be contradicting itself a bit, because I think in the start of the series they talked about, Data said something like, oh, you are prejudiced against androids or something. If he is the only android, I feel like then there's not a lot of other androids. But I don't know, maybe it could be that there are other androids, they're just not as well made.
Interesting. Yeah, they really made a choice in Next Generation to make him the only one. In the original series, they ran into all kinds of them, right? They were a little janky. They were easy to logic trap and blow their heads up.
You say you are lying, but if everything you say is a lie, then you are telling the truth. But you cannot tell the truth because everything you say is a lie. But you lie, you tell the truth, but you cannot, for you lie. Illogical.
But yeah, they were all over the place. Mudd's Women is all about how Harry Mudd was passing off these fake women as like wives for minors and stuff. Oh my God. That one is
That's
great.
funny.
And by great, I mean pretty sexist.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. But it does sound like funny in like a very weird way. Mm-hmm. But
and that strange decision not to have other androids in this series has led to all of the future incarnations of Star Trek basically having a rule that sentient androids can't exist. I assume just to keep things neat and tidy.
Huh. But what about, like, couldn't they make more androids like Data? I feel like they should have someone that just made them up.
Yeah, I mean, it stands to reason that they would have, but like 30 plus years went by before they finally let other androids get made.
Oh, okay.
Which happens in Star Trek Picard. If anyone's interested, go check that out and see more androids. But yeah, the events of that are like 30 years after the end of The Next Generation. And here in season 1, there's a guy, I don't know if we've gotten to it yet, but there's a guy that like wants to take Data back to Starfleet to take apart and study. The episode's called The Measure of a Man. Season 2, episode 9. But that's still pretty early in this series, right? So like 7 more years plus another 30. Like that's how much time passes before they ever make more sentient androids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at one point they just set a law against it. Nobody can have a sentient computer. Oh, and that's another thing. All through the original series, they keep running into these evil sentient computers.
For the good of the body, you must die.
Maybe that's why the law came about.
They just got tired of dealing with, what was that guy's name from the Red Hour planet? It starts with an L. Red Hour planet. It's kind of like the Purge, like 1 hour a month or something. 1 hour a year, maybe.
They purged the machines?
No, the human like citizens. It's called Return of the Archons, and they think a god rules them, but it turns out to be Landru, who's an artificial intelligence. Spoilers for Return of the Archons.
Yeah, but it is, I guess it's always a question how much to include computers and androids and such, like sentient ones, because it is nice, but it can also maybe be that they become a little bit too powerful if they are just kind of depending on what their motivations are.
Right. And what we're learning now, like through Ken Liu's work, is the idea that they think so fast that they essentially accelerate through generations, 100 times a year or 10,000 or whatever. Like they'll reach a critical mass, and then beyond that, they'll basically be gods. And there's nothing we can do to slow that process down. So in my books, I just like outlawed them. It's just easier than having to deal with them. Although in the podcast, we've come across 1 or 2 now. So I guess I'll have to reckon with it eventually. But like, it just becomes so dwarfed beyond human powers. and my characters are human, so I don't want them to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's how I also feel, that it can easily become too powerful. But I also like it when sometimes there are stories when there are non-human characters and the limitations that exist for them is also part of the plot. That can also be interesting, where it's like, okay, we can have AI, but only in very specific contexts. So like the AI can only be in a ship or only be in a house. They are not allowed to inhabit a body, for example. That is also can be interesting in the way that then you combine these things. That it's like there are restrictions and there is this concern, but it also becomes a question of the rights of the AI. Like, do they have the right to be free, or should they be constricted?
Yeah, the idea of an AI house, Paul Mars's Sick Building, which is a 10th Doctor Who novel with Martha Jones. There's a great AI house in that one that uses appliances as its sort of drones, its fingers or whatever, but they seem to have their own personality as well.
Sounds like Beauty and the Beast house.
Yes, it's exactly like that pretty much, except it goes completely off the rails.
Oh.
Whereas in what's it called? The series where all the genders are basically women, or all the pronouns anyway, are she, her.
Oh, the ancillary series? Yeah.
Yes, and the ships are sentient, and they have drones, which are basically people. And in that, yeah, they're super powerful, but I guess their limitation is that they're employees of the state.
Yeah, they have fail-safes, and then they also have very specific, I think, emotional bonds that they are so that they have affection for their crew, and they cannot help but to have that. So then their motivations is to protect them.
And there's another series that I can't seem to remember the name of. I think it's a series in which humans have uplifted apes and dolphins.
Oh, with the David Brin, right?
David Brin.
It's something like
yeah.
Sundiver or something.
So in that, he posits the existence of AIs that have jumped past that level and become so powerful that they're dangerous to all life. And so they set their planets as off limits. Don't go anywhere near this area of space because, like, we don't want to draw their attention. I had this crazy conversation with my dad the other day because he like meets with a friend every week, and his friend is obsessed with AI, so tells him all the news of that week. And there's something that's happening with the Voyager spacecraft that's suggesting that either humans are time traveling messages to Voyager, or there's a species outside our solar system that is communicating with Voyager. And so I speculated, wouldn't it be wild if all our religions were based on messages from godlike AIs from the future that can send back holographic projections as our gods back to the past?
Oh yeah, that could be a nice premise for a story. And then it could be that they shape our culture so that it will make AI eventually. So there is like grooming us to make the AI.
Talk about a bootstrap paradox. Creating the civilization that creates you.
Yeah, and maybe they had different people, and they would favor the ones that would create AI. So they have these like stable people who are just chilling, and they're like, no, we don't like these ones. These are.
In Babylon 5, there's a race of sort of demigod-like beings who manipulate civilizations in a similar way to like uplift them to the point where they can help them fight these enemy called the Shadows. And they present, if they take their environment suits off, they present as the holy beings of these various people's religions. Like angels, essentially. But yeah, it'd be cool to somehow be able to merge religion with tech in that way and to be like, well, they weren't actual gods, but they might as well have been because they have these powers that we can't possibly confront. Gods without God. I mean, it would explain why the Greek gods were such dickheads. Because they were just, robots, the hankering for sheep sex or whatever.
Robots like sheep sex?
Well, I mean, Zeus liked to pretend to be animals and hook up with human ladies. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that would not be... then it would not be specifically a robot preference, I feel like. I don't know. I was wondering about this actually in this episode because they keep being like, does he have all the parts that you have? And I was like, oh, which parts do he have?
And keep in mind, this is after the events of The Naked Now, where Data and Yar hooked up.
Oh.
I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
Oh, you jewel, that's exactly what I hoped.
So I'm wondering if the entire crew have heard from her that he has all the requisite parts.
Oh, I didn't know they hooked up. Now I have to go back and watch it. Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it like... Okay.
No, it's terrible. It's one of the worst. And it's also in a dumb position at second when it should be watched
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm almost wondering if we should watch it like now-ish.
Yeah, we could do that for next time. Just because, like you said, they are out of character, right?
Right. But so keep in mind as you watch further into this season, Yar, whenever the subject of Data comes up, she like lights up and like is so excited. Like in a way similar to how Picard is so excited to see Data grow. With her, it's almost like any mention of him and she gets horny.
Yeah, they have so little, relations. So maybe she's like, that was the only one I had. Or they do it like with the other part of the people who are not the officers, which would make more sense.
Yeah.
But so this episode that was aired second, do you know if they originally planned to air it at some other point? So, like, do you have an idea, like, oh, it goes here in the... Like with Firefly, for example, kind of which order the episodes really are, even though they were not aired like that.
I don't. I'm going to see if a quick Google can explain it.
Maybe they didn't have a specific order. Maybe they just wrote a bunch of episodes and then thought, which order should we air them in?
Apparently, they did not need to do it so early, but Gene Roddenberry says he wanted to do an episode early that explained the characters' motivations or that explored them. But it's like, but you're spending half of the episode with people acting unlike their characters. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
odd choice.
That seems like it could be kind of confusing.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fun. So, yeah. Oh, boy. So, yeah, look for Yar smiling a little too wide. So we find out, according to the captain, that they are approaching Omicron Theta, Data's birthplace, and they're excited to learn more about his origins.
Yeah.
We're standing on the crew. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to comment that when we first learned about it, I didn't know at all what it's going to be about. So I thought maybe the whole planet would be all androids. That could also be fun. Because I just knew that you said that Data's brother would be in it. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's a whole like android family.
Oh, I love that.
Down on the planet.
One dumb little thing I noticed is that the extras are just walking all over the place, and there's one extra at the start of the thing, the camera turn. He passes Picard and Riker and goes to a section of the bridge that we know the only thing over there is the door to the captain's ready room. And a shot or two later, he just walks back in the other direction. What was he doing over there?
Yeah, looking
That's
at
it.
the wall. And I was also noticing this because there was another scene where they showed some guy that was just like smiling. And I was like, wait, who is this?
That extra was like, they're going to love my smile.
Yeah, it seemed very out of place.
Riker's like, how come Data isn't up here? You'd think he'd be excited to see all this. Picard says he wanted to be alone. Which again brings us to this weird tension early on with Data. How much does he have human-like drives? Right? Like Spock, we always felt sort of discounted all that as if he was immune to it. Whereas Data, we're led to believe it's impossible for him. And yet he'll say things like, I want, or I'm intrigued, or whatever.
Yeah, that is true. And I like this. It's like you said, first we think, oh, he wants to be alone. And then you think he has some kind of emotional response to this. But then when Wesley comes there, he's just like, I'm practicing sneezing. And you don't even know, like, maybe he didn't actually have any feelings about it. Just happened to be like, oh, actually, now I want to also do this. That is very important.
Data. Chew!
I just had the craziest thought. What if he thinks the villagers will still be there? And it's like a guy straightening his tie. He's like, I want to be as human as possible when I meet my neighbors or whatever.
Yeah, that could, I could totally see that he's like, I have to try to practice like some different expressions and stuff.
What did you think of his sneezing?
Yeah, it was fun. It was like...
It was like a kid. Like, it says achoo in writing. Let's try it that way.
Yeah. I feel like he has good motor skills and stuff, so he should be able to just do it quickly and not like in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we've seen, or we will see, him able to imitate a human's speech exactly. At least play a recording that sounds the same. I don't know if the face would look the same. But yeah, he just can't get that sneeze right. It's almost like, and here's a canonical suggestion, it's almost as if his creator didn't erase those skills, but rather limited them. Like you might have a governor on an engine to keep it from revving all the way up to 100%.
Yeah, I could see that. So it's that he does have the capacity, but it's somewhat contained.
And it would make sense because we know Dr. Soong develops this android over decades of trial and error. So maybe once you got to the point of having an emotional robot, rather than cutting a bunch of those things and risking breaking its brain entirely, you just put a limiting thing over it. But that does slightly contradict the events of Star Trek First Contact, in which the Borg put on a special chip that enables emotions.
You have reactivated my emotion chip. Why?
Don't be frightened.
I'm not frightened.
But it could just take away the block, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So he's doing this terrible sneezing. Wes is like, what do you have, a cold? And he's like, a cold? And he goes, no, they don't exist anymore. And but he says humans still sneeze for other reasons, and I cannot seem to do it right. He's like, aren't you interested in going home? And he says he's equally interested. And this made me think it's not a very human response, because humans are constantly prioritizing one thing over another, whereas an AI could conceive, I think he's even said, I can conceivably do hundreds of operations at the same time. So it's like you wouldn't really need to prioritize one over the other. He says more than interested, fascinated, one might say agog.
Aren't you interested in that?
More than interested. Fascinated. One might say agog. But I also find sneezing interesting. Chew!
So Picard wanted him to come back to the bridge. I mean, I wasn't sure why he was supposed to like come down there and get him to come back up.
I think it's because there's an unexpected event, which is that the sensors aren't showing any life readings. So it's
okay.
You know, we might be in a situation here. We need our best guy on the bridge. So the music swells. And I noticed it kind of seems like Data's experiencing an emotion. But that happens all the time in season 1. So not too surprising. So somehow Data was uploaded with the knowledge of all the 400 villagers, and he's like, and Yar's like, everything, like their entire lives, and he's like, no, not all of it, just their knowledge. And I'm not sure what differentiates knowledge from memories.
I would think it's more about the facts, but he's not gonna remember specifics. He's gonna be like, oh, I know the name of this flower, but he's not gonna remember like, oh, this person picked this flower for their girlfriend or something.
Okay. Or like he might know the birth and death of a person, but not like how it felt for the family when the child was born or whatever.
No, I would say, as I understood it, it was like he has only the knowledge. So kind of like if you would write down like everything you knew about like more not specific events, but rather like the general knowledge about things.
Interesting.
But I don't know why. Like I just when he said it like that, he was like, I have the knowledge. Then I thought that, and then later they come down to the planet and he's talk like I recognize the landscape. So then it seemed like it was just you have this kind of knowledge, but he doesn't say like, oh, I remember, you know, someone being here, or you know, it was just like that kind of unattached knowledge.
Yeah, it's interesting too that he only recalls stuff when sparked by an experience, basically walking through the village or whatever. Which is a lot like human memory, right? We recall something when we need to, or
That's
when we
true.
feel compelled to, and then it's replayed. Now for Data, it's probably exactly what happened, whereas for us, it's every time we remember something, it's a new thing almost based on the last time we remembered something, so it changes over time.
Yeah. I wonder if he could draw things, you know, if he could he draw all the different things that he knows, or would he be able to replicate them in the visual way?
If this show had better visual effects, I'm sure they would have done something like that. Yeah, because he could just be like, this is what they wrote down about the crystalline entity. It can suck all... Like he'd have been prepared for what they find out later. It's almost as if they redacted that knowledge from him.
Or do you think that it was before... No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, because I do think it's strange. If he had all of the knowledge from all the colonists, that would include the doctor. So he would be able to know how to make an android.
It's as if he was turned off right before the crystalline entity arrived.
Yeah, but even so, he would, if he knew what the doctor knew, he would also be able to know, for example, how, like he would know about his brother, and he would know about. So it does seem.
Ooh,
it could have.
What if Lore, when Lore decided to betray the colony and summon the crystal entity, What if he altered Data's memories before leaving him out there? But he was taken apart. Maybe it happened after he did that. I don't know. The timing is a little
it does seem a little bit strange. But I think that they're vague enough that you can kind of think, okay, maybe they didn't include the knowledge. Maybe they could choose a little bit what knowledge to include, and they decided to not include how to make the androids and such.
Maybe Dr. Soong was so ashamed that Lore betrayed them that he erased all those memories from Data so that no one would ever find out that he fucked up that badly.
Yeah, that could make sense. And I think that they didn't know about the crystal when... Oh, wait, I don't know. Yeah, that does seem weird because Lore was... The way that he explains is that he managed to send the crystal, to tell the crystal about where the humans were hiding so that it ate them all. But then he was also disassembled. So I guess that they found out that he had sent this message. And then...
See, that's what makes me think Dr. Soong was like, oh shit, my son just did this terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah.
That's going to wipe out our colony possibly. I better take him apart. But then at some point in that window, he erased Data's memories.
Yeah.
And dumped him out on the front porch. Like, what a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it was weird in the sense that everything is so... All the structures, like... Because... They talk about how everything alive is dead on this planet. But there was no structures also. There was only, you would think that there would be buildings and stuff. But they're just like, we keep this android on this block of stone.
Right, and it was perfectly flat. It was like they poured it the day before they stuck him out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crystalline entity, in addition to blasting everyone, it also has lasers or something and just fucking leveled the whole planet, melted all the stones.
Or maybe they landed in a spot where they didn't have any settlement. They just built a bunker there to kind of escape from it. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we had to fill in for this. But I think most of it is not, like, I think that they kind of follow the broad strokes. That's like, this person betrayed and this person has some memories, but it's not like a key plot point which memories Data have. It's just that he has some knowledge from the colonists, like some trivia.
I'd love it if somebody asked the writer if they had to go through multiple drafts, because a lot of this seems like there were some drafts and they kind of got some things a little fuzzy because they had to hit certain cliffhangers or whatever.
Yeah.
JLP, Picard tells Data, like, this must be exciting for you. Welcome home. And Riker's like, well, I mean, everybody's destroyed down there. It might not be the greatest homecoming. They're down on the planet. He says all life has been destroyed, even soil bacteria. And I asked myself, have we ever seen anything with this capability in the original series? And I don't remember it. This kind of power, the ability to literally suck life out of people, like what is that even biologically? There was something that was able to suck out Spock's brain entirely. That was pretty major. There was something that... there was like this giant amoeba-like creature that could theoretically eradicate life, but I think it was a little more nebulous. But maybe that was the inspiration for this. We find out this was all farmland 20 to 30 years ago. So that explains that this was the site of a surface village, right?
It depends. It could have been really big. No, I mean, it could have been a really big, like, farm infrastructure. So that's like lots and lots of farmland landscape. And then the buildings are much farther away.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like Data was grabbed amidst all that death, that flat piece of cement, that just drives me crazy. It's like not melted at all. Looks, I mean, it's just funny. Like I could speculate a canonical reason for it, you know, but like it doesn't make any sense. I don't even know why they did it production wise. Like what, they didn't want to damage the uniform with stage crud? I don't know. Weird. So the USS Tripoli saved Data. And this is where I notice Yar like being really enamored with Data's history. She goes, then this very spot was your birthplace. So cute. So Geordi says this area was made to look natural, but it was constructed. So clearly his visor lets him see all that.
Yeah, except like you said, the platform is just like total flat.
Weird. And once we go inside, it's this classic underground facility. I thought this was a really beautiful set with great lighting. This realistic matte painting of the corridor in the background.
Yeah, I agree. Before we had complained a bit about everything being like all looking super primitive and stuff, and this one looked like actually a real structure and not just like some cave structure or something.
Yeah.
It was funny though that the light switch works. It's just like, oh, here's the light. It's like turning it on.
Yeah, there's still power in this place.
Oh.
The doors open real slowly. You know, this round doorway? It's like, shh. So in this laboratory, we see the most important device in the galaxy, right? Which is this prop some guy made that's been in multiple sci-fi shows. It's got those two orange-red tubes.
Oh, I don't know this one. What is it? Like, is it just a random prop that is?
I'll take a
I didn't
picture
notice
of it
it
here.
I will see if I even recognize it.
You see it, the device is on the bottom of the picture.
Oh, okay, so these like colorful tubes are the device?
I think it's the whole thing. It's the like tube holders and the pedestal it's on top of.
Oh, I never thought about it. Like, I don't know if I've seen it elsewhere, or if it's just I haven't seen enough old shows.
Yeah, I think it was on Buck Rogers and Battlestar Galactica. Like, it's been in a bunch of stuff.
That's fun. It's always funny when there's like certain props that are either that they are actually look good, or that they are, some of them are also really, like when you look close, you're like, that is just IKEA furniture.
Totally.
Or like in The Expanse, there's one scene when they use a roof, what do you call it, like a roof box for a car. That's very funny. When you're like, wait, that's just a box for the car roof.
Nice. Where was I?
You're talking about when they came into the lab. They saw this.
I noticed Yar went first without a weapon drawn. Like, she is a real badass. They have a Klingon and they have an indestructible android, but she goes first. Data remembers being tested in this lab. We see some children's pictures of this dangerous looking effect in the sky. Data walks over. He remembers Dr. Soong's research area. And we learn that Dr. Soong was a foremost robotic scientist. And they kind of go around the horn telling Data, for some reason, his own experience. As if nobody ever bothered to tell him that Dr. Noonien Singh created him. Or maybe they don't know.
Yeah, I think they didn't know that Soong was at this facility, but it would come up, I feel like, if people talked about, oh, you're an android. Did you know that this person tried to make an android and they failed and then they disappeared?
Yeah, it's like Data got a publicist and he was like, tell everybody I meet to never ask about this. I don't want to know. I'm going to pretend to be a human and that's it. Don't tell me anything.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they are like, they are a little bit uncomfortable about talking about him being a machine. So maybe
aspect,
they feel, yeah.
Yeah, I really love those moments where the humans are all awkward. Riker gives an order, and weirdly, he mentions Data and Geordi by name, but he just says you to Yar. It's like, Jesus. They find a container with these molds, or like molds for building Data. And for some really weird reason, they're upside down. Isn't that strange?
I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I think could just be like how you store them, so it's like doesn't get dust in the top part or something.
So they find out that the installation is built to house hundreds of people, but it's completely empty. So think about this timeline. They all go into this facility to hide from the crystal entity. Crystal entity wipes out the surface. They stick Data out on the front porch, and then all of them disappear. So did they eventually go back up to the surface, then the entity came back and wiped them out without a warning?
No, I think that the way that it works is that Lore sent a message to the crystal telling it how to get into the base. And Dr. Tsung learned about this and then disassembled Lore before the crystal could come there. But I don't know why it took so long for the crystal to get there, but maybe it had left and gone out in space or something.
Yeah, I just have to wonder if something made them all leave the facility.
No, I think that Lore says that he told the crystal where the humans were, like that they were in the base.
So you think it could reach into the base, kill them all,
yeah.
and what, decompose their atoms?
I think, yeah, they took like all the people and made it into the crystal-y thing. But yeah, you're right. It's weird because on the surface, things were still there, but they were dead. So, but
yeah,
I thought that they took the humans.
I think that must just be a way to show us that the landscape is ruined. Because if it was completely denuded, there wouldn't be anything to it. It would just look like a set.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah. So it would have been funny though if they saw all these like clothes, that people, the people had been wearing.
That's how I would have done it. There's these little piles of dust that they're stepping in.
Yeah, that could be, and then they would have like this kind of dental dentures or something just laying on the floor.
Cyber parts. Yeah, totally.
It did make me wonder though, because they said later on they talked about how Data and Lore, that none of them were taken because they were not alive at the time. But I would even say that if they are robots, but I guess they're androids, so maybe they have some live tissue things. But what I mean is that I wasn't sure if the crystal would even want them.
Again, what is life? Is life the electricity that holds cells together? Is life something in the brain? Like, we never get a sense that Data has any organic components. So is it the soul? I mean, we've speculated a lot whether a robotic person could have such a thing. Does this mean that all living things, including sentient androids, have a life component to them?
Yeah, I guess it could be that they kind of eat the life, because I keep thinking of it as a biological thing, but that wouldn't necessarily make sense because on Earth all the life forms are carbon based, so that's why we can like eat each other. But if there was just some alien, doesn't necessarily say, oh, I only eat carbon. You know, I need there to be these amino acids, otherwise I'm not interested.
Now, this is the first instance of me going, hold on a minute, where's Yar? Of course, I mean Troy. Troy would have solved this episode in 10 minutes. As soon as Laura got woken up, she'd be like, Captain, that guy's a fucking asshole. You know? But has her day off or whatever. Assuming that she can sense the feelings of androids.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we know that she can do that yet.
But wait, you don't mean Yar, right? Yar is the
excuse me,
secured
Troy.
one?
Deanna Troy.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell is she?
Oh, yeah.
And it's purely
you're
a
right.
function.
It is
I
weird.
wonder if there was a rewrite. Like, it's purely a function of we have to decide now, can she sense the feelings of androids that have emotions? And if so, she'd solve this episode, so we have to write her out.
Yeah. But it seems, didn't they have in another episode, they talked about someone being gone and like, oh, this person is on vacation. So I feel like they should have mentioned this, like, oh, this person is still like on a, like,
we're going to
vacation.
pick up Deanna at Pleasure Planet 69 or whatever.
Yeah.
So they find a storage area with data parts inside, but before we see them, he opens up the door, doesn't check with Riker, doesn't do any scans as far as we know, just pushes the button, opens the door. And this is a thing Data does all the fucking time. It's so annoying. He's touching shit. He's getting electrocuted. He's like,
Oh, no.
There's steam going everywhere. That shit could be a poisonous gas. I'm just thinking maybe his sensors are incredibly powerful and they're always on. So he knows.
Yeah, what is safe or not.
Yeah, but he doesn't even go, Riker, Geordi, step back a few feet. Just pops that fucking thing open. One of them says, how many more Datas are there? Which begins this weird awkwardness where they're trying not to objectify Data. And it seems like Data's actually excited to see this other version of himself. And he's like, or it's my brother.
Yeah, I also like this. You know, they say something like, you know, how many Datas are there? And they're like, or, you know, this one and the original Data or something like it. They kind of try to not, like you said, make it so that Data is just like some...
Yeah, they don't want to treat him like an object, a thing.
Yeah, and I guess like something that is just replaceable. I don't know, not unique, I guess. Because like it's more about treating him as an individual, I feel like, rather than
well, and if he spent 25 years telling people not to ask about his androidness, it's possible that this could be a confronting scene of another version of himself.
Yeah. I like this headcanon that you have now that he's like, don't talk about my past.
We don't discuss it.
Yeah. I feel like it's more maybe something cultural. We have to make a headcanon now that it is culture in this federation to not ask people about like, where did you come from? Because maybe people came from like a weird trauma planet and then they don't want to talk about it.
Tasha Yar came from Rape Gang planet. Like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I wonder if there's a culture of that in the military of like not getting into it because people could be from such diverse areas and political beliefs and things.
Yeah, I could see that, like that they would have, you know, when you get to the academy and then when you're there, it becomes, then you're kind of in a new space maybe, and it doesn't matter so much about your past.
In Star Trek Lower Decks, we get a sense of this when Mariner gets super excited that she's going to get to find out something about Devana Tendi's Orion people. because there's very little known about them. And like Talin is wanting to do a research study on them, and it's making Tendi super uncomfortable. So yeah, it suggests that folks are very private about their personal cultures.
It is rare for outsiders to observe Orion rituals. May I accompany you on this mission? The High Council would find my report enlightening.
What? No! I mean, it's going to be super unenlightening, actually.
So Data immediately wants to put this thing together. They're like, cool, bring it on board. Once again, Star Trek people are just like, take your weird engineering projects and put them on our ship. No safety standards. Keep that shit on a shuttle, folks.
Yeah.
My God.
And I also felt like, how would they know that they got everything? I would totally have stayed in this lab to assemble this person and not just like, oh, we just take these feet with us and then we can just assemble them on board. Like, what if you missed something? What if there was some skin grafting machine that you didn't bring with you?
I didn't even think about this, but these are great points. I think this is because they said we only have time to spend a few hours there.
Yeah, they were really busy. They had to leave for some other place to pick up
Pile it
Troy.
in, let's go.
Yeah.
Incredible. I thought it was funny that Dr. Soong didn't leave a warning that this other Data is evil. This is pretty this helps my theory that like he wants the world to know he cracked it, but he doesn't want the world to know that one of his sons like killed hundreds of people.
Yeah. Yeah, why even keep this Data version alive, really? Like, they just disassembled him and then they were like, oh, that's enough.
Sentimentality? Or spare parts?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe he thought he could fix him at some point in the future.
Yeah,
and
I think that could be. Just turn him off.
Yeah, if I found out my son was a mass murderer and I like had the option of keeping him disassembled at my house, would I do so? Jesus.
Oh my God. That's a very specific, like, philosophy question, you know.
So we get another inscrutable star date, and now we're in the science lab. And I love these blue formaldehyde containers with like hands and feet in them.
Yeah.
So good.
Even though they didn't have these down in the lab. So they just like, we have to have them to transport them.
No explanation.
Yeah, and they would bring them also in the teleporter. So they just like come this like...
It's like they're marinating them. Like they're gonna cook them later.
Do the teleporters ever like miss some stuff? You know, would it come out and there would be like a hole in the container or something?
Like splinching in Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I don't think so. There have been transporter accidents. In Star Trek The Motion Picture, 2 people are beamed into one another in a horrific body horror thing. Oh my God. Star Trek The Motion Picture is a mess. Like, literally minutes after that, like maybe 2 minutes later, Kirk and Bones are like joshing it up on the bridge. Like, yo, 2 of your employees just got obliterated by this thing. Maybe don't goof around.
Starfleet, do you have them?
Enterprise. What we got back didn't live long, fortunately.
Let's see. They're trying to do something with their parts. They're scanning their joints and things. One lady has a hilarious perm. Did you notice?
No, I didn't see this one.
It's like a natural hairdo made out of tight blonde curls. It's pretty cute. Dr. Crusher says, you got to go, Data. We meet Chief Engineer Argyle. I noticed Dr. Crusher is really gentle with Data. I feel like it sets her apart from the others. Like, they're being awkward and uncomfortable. And she's like, I'm going to treat him just like I would any patient. You know, even though she knows he doesn't have actual emotions, there's no need to do that. But it's just like, it's her way. And yeah, once again, people are being awkward around him. Up in the briefing room, Riker, Geordi, and Picard are talking about the issue. Geordi is clearly uncomfortable. And Picard's like, we need to be logical here, you know? Like, it's just like if we were talking about humans, you know? And he says, we are merely a different variety of machine. In our case, electrochemical in nature. And Riker just beams. He's like, look at my captain being all logical and progressive or whatever. Data's like, why was I made in human form? And so they kind of speculate about why that might be. But at one point, Data, they're like, yeah, you do some things like humans and other things that aren't. And he goes, in some cases, better, Captain. And Picard is like, ugh. Let's avoid the robot supremacy stuff here, Data.
Yeah. And I like this at a later on that sets up the question, you know, if the other Data is better, will Data resent that? Or, you know, because is there some kind of part of him that is like, you know, because he is aware of this, would it throw him if something else is more superior than him, you know? So that I like that is like brought in as a kind of a little bit of a potential conflict.
It's a great counterpoint because we know Data's like, for what he is very wise and like egalitarian. And so any hint of supremacy talk is just not his deal. And it gives us a clear dividing line between Lore, who's like a robot supremacist all the way down. So, and I think it's one of the things that tips Wes to what's going on. Another great Wesley episode where he gets to prove his mettle. We get another drawing of the thing in the sky that's scaring the children. And Crusher calls Data back to the science lab, and he shows her how to turn him off. Which is a little thing in his lower back. And she's very kind about this whole thing, but she's a little freaked out. And she gives her word that she'll keep his off switch secret. And he says something like, you wouldn't want me to tell anybody if I knew you could be turned off. It's like, ugh. We cut to med bay where she's got Data on one side, I think using him as a guide and fixing Lore based on the whatever information she has. It's interesting that we would let a doctor do an engineering task, but I guess it's because she has the most precise hand movements or whatever.
Yeah, but you're right. It does seem a little bit. I mean, I wonder though if it is purely engineering or if it is some kind of mix between them, maybe.
I mean, it's clearly about micro movements of devices, which a doctor is good at. But like, I think Data should have done it, right? Like,
oh yeah, that would make sense.
Because he's perfect at everything. But I think they wanted that shot of him lying down next to Lore. But wouldn't that have been interesting if he was in that sort of fatherly mode of taking care of his brother, and then his brother betrays him? I don't know. It'd be a different episode.
Yeah.
So they're working on his guts. Picard and Riker arrive. Lore hasn't been awakened yet. And they say, I wonder which was made first. And Lore's first words are, he was, but they found him to be imperfect. Like, what already a fucked up thing to say right off the bat. I was made to replace him.
But I think, I didn't see there was I feel like it could have just been a logical statement, because he doesn't say he was imperfect, he's just saying they thought so. So
yeah,
then it could have been that, oh yeah, they wanted someone that was less smart, or there could be a lot of different reasons. So it doesn't feel like it's necessarily him saying that he's inferior in general.
I think it's fascinating that immediately upon waking up, he's got the measure of these people. He knows the score. He's got his plan in place, which is to act sort of dumb.
Yeah.
Until it's time to flip the switch. It's also fascinating that Data isn't really wise to his game until pretty late.
I feel like he caught on some part of it though, so, but yeah, he doesn't seem suspicious, like that he would have some ulterior motive, but he does feel like he's not being totally honest.
Yeah. So we see that he has a facial tic, and his name is Lore. Next scene, Picard is kind of uncomfortable that Lore is suggesting Data is imperfect. I don't know if this is what prompts it, but he says to Data, it's a little awkward. And Data's like, my loyalty is to you and to Starfleet completely. So it's interesting that, and Picard has to apologize. He's like, I don't want to second guess you, but this whole thing is so weird. I don't know quite how to handle it.
Does he apologize for that? Because I felt like with that one, he was just like, no, I never questioned that. But then he calls Lore it, and I think he'd apologize for that part.
Right. It was about him thinking of Lore as a thing. Interesting. Yeah, he's like, I see your point. My apologies.
And that's also part of when we talked about the other stories that have different androids and such, and that's also pretty often a question, like which kind of pronouns, and in some places kind of no, it is accurate, and then sometimes it's depends on the person, like when we talked about the ancillary series, then when the ship is a ship, then it's okay, then it's an it. But then later on, when one of the ancillaries is made a person, then people are like, oh, I would never call you it, even though it is technically the same person,
Yeah. And that's a very defined culture, whereas here, all this is brand new. Like, Data's only just letting them talk about it now.
Yeah.
So Lore's being given a rundown on the bridge by Geordi and Wes. Riker and Worf are looking on in intense suspicion. Riker's trying to figure out how much Lore is hiding from them about his intelligence. And Lore's like, have I committed an offense? And Wes is like, super excited to teach him the rules of being on the bridge, which he only just learned an episode or two ago, if you remember. And he says, Data's like, I noticed that you find it important to please humans. And Laura's like, isn't that what it's all about? And he's like, well, there are many things of importance, which suggests that Data does understand prioritization, which maybe is part of Starfleet regulations where, the most important duty of an officer is the safety of the crew. And, there's a hierarchy. And pleasing humans is lower on that list, apparently.
Yeah, but it was interesting. I was expecting him to go a little bit more into detail on that he would maybe be more instructive of lore and say like, no, like this is the hierarchy or these are the priorities. But I guess, like you said, it probably is just that he felt like that was a little bit of a too simplified description of the duties. But he didn't go into like, no, actually these are the... I thought that he would maybe go into kind of trying to break down how you're supposed to act or something.
I think my headcanon is that he's so fascinated by Lore's ability to mimic humans that like that's what he's interested in, not necessarily teaching him how to behave on the ship.
Maybe not, but he does kind of correct him in this instance. So I think that I kind of get the feeling that he was in some ways interested, that he wanted Lore to be to do well, I suppose.
Yeah. He points out to Lore that Riker was very suspicious of him, and he was trying to suss out how smart he is or how knowledgeable. And Lore is just throwing shade, like he is clearly looking down on Riker. And Data's like, don't do that. You know, like about Wes, he's like, he may have a child's body, but we have found him to be much more. So clearly Lore's got these ideas that kids aren't shit. You know, where did he come across that?
It's funny much later when he's just like, the man-child, you know, which is not how you call that.
Yeah, and he clearly has beef. Like, this kid showed me up. This kid's fucking up my plan, so I'm going to get vengeance. Like, that's very unrobot-like.
Yeah, very much.
So he's just being a smarmy piece of shit. Data's pretty wise to it. And I noticed Data keeps looking at him kind of the way we do when we're like, is that person a liar or is that person like scary or whatever? We keep giving him looks out of the corner of our eyes. Data is in, I don't know if it's his quarters or some kind of other research lab, but he's looking up some stuff. He's researching Dr. Soong. And Lore calls him Often Wrong Soon, which is a terrible nickname. And we never find out if that's what humans called him or if that's just some shit Lore came up with. But it shows us that his idea of humor is nasty. He's not out here telling funnies that, like, he's kind of like the Joker. Like, all his jokes make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Data's trying to explain him, like, the Starfleet way. And Lore just keeps talking shit. He's clearly a robot supremacist. But then he gets Data's handle. He realizes that Data wants to be the most human. And so he's like, I have a way for you to absorb not just a few hundred people, but hundreds of millions. Which suggests to me that the crystalline entity isn't just sucking the life out of people, but it's somehow storing all their information. And that's how it convinced Lore to help them. That they'll, like, take Lore on board and give him whatever he wants in terms of all the people it's eaten. Almost like it's a Borg. Well, you don't know much about the Borg yet. But they travel around the galaxy assimilating peoples and taking their best bits onto their civilization. So I don't know if Lore just knows that they have this capability, that Soong basically gave them infinite memory, or if it's this more metaphysical crystalline entity power. Or if it's not real at all and he's just fucking trying to hook Data.
Yeah, I could see it being like, join me and we'll conquer the galaxy. Like that, it's not really about the crystal specifically, but I mean, what was he planning to do? Maybe he planned to hang out with the crystal and the crystal would just go around and eat lots of different people. But I don't see how that benefits him.
That's what makes me think that the crystalline entity told him that if it betrays his people, that it'll give him more information.
Yeah,
and so they could
I think there should be
do
something
that.
like that.
They could do that on every inhabited world until lore like knows everything in the galaxy or whatever. So Data's like, which of us was constructed first? And Lore's like, it would be foolish to underestimate you, brother. Yes, I lied when I said you were made first, but with good reason. Dr. Soong made me perfect in his first attempt, but he made me so completely human, the colonists became envious of me. This is like classical panto villain shit. Like,
Yeah.
has no self-awareness and just constructs this fantasy that like the people were envious and not terrified.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of shenanigans do you think he got up to that made them ask for him to be disassembled?
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe just talking in that way. So they're like, okay, let's.
He just creeped them out.
But I feel like it was like, you know, he sent this message out into space to this crystal, and that's when they were like, okay, no, that's enough. Now we're disassembling.
Oh, you think that was the trigger point?
Yeah, I thought so. So that they did that when he had sent it somehow.
And this is a way for him to not mention that bit by saying they were envious.
Yeah. And I feel like if someone explains a motivation by people being envious, that does seem like a red flag in general.
Yeah, it's almost never true. It's just the kind of thing an asshole says. Like, every narcissist I've met is like, can recite chapter and verse about how this person and that person has suspect motivations, but God help you if you try to zero in on theirs. It's almost like Lore was created specifically to be an asshole. Like how just bad he is.
I wonder what the doctor was like. Maybe he's like as the doctor was, and then the doctor was like, oh no, this won't work.
Hold that thought, because we might run into Dr. Soong at some point. It's Star Trek, so it could be a hologram or a time travel, or, you know, who knows? He might still be alive. There's this wild moment where I realized, oh, this director's pretty good. We get a shot of Data in the reflection of just a random mirror that's standing there. Usually you don't get a lot of reflective surfaces in Next Generation. So Data really wants to be human, and Lore's like, hey, look at me, I can use contractions. And he's being so dismissive of Data's desire to be human. And he starts doing the potato song.
I say tomato, and you say tomato. I say potato, and you say potato. Yeah.
Just clowning on Data to his face. It's just wild to me that Data's not like, you're being an asshole. Why? Like, who benefits? But he does say he plans to report the entire conversation to Picard.
But he doesn't, right? That's confusing. Or, maybe we'll get to it.
Does he?
When we go through it.
He says he'll give the captain a full report, and he takes off. Lore says, I have more than I dreamed possible, brother.
Then he looks at all the information.
With this classic villain face.
Yeah.
Purses his lips a little bit like he's about to go, Mwah! Gets like a slight smirk, and he starts scanning. He's learning everything there is to know in the ship's database, and the music is full on pantomime villain. It's brilliant. So yeah, we don't know if Data has specifically shared that report yet, but he has passed on the information about the crystalline entity, and so they're at a console talking about it. They learn that it's real, it feeds on life, and Data wasn't yet alive when it attacked So they're thinking it's possible that the crystalline entity is real. Yar says, Laura's down in a room studying various tools and things. And Data's like, I'm going to go investigate. And Crusher's like, you're spying on your own brother? Like, what the hell? It's just so odd. Like, she's just like, clearly Dr. Crusher would never inform on a family member. She's like, fuck that shit. Fucking omerta. And he's like, no, it's Starfleet. We do our jobs. I gave an order, and he's following that order.
I forgot this, actually, way back in the episode. I think it's... How is it now? Or maybe we talked about it in a general sense, but Yar says something about, like, can Data be trusted? And then Picard says that, you know, he trusts him, but he also is like, it is correct of you to ask this as, like, the security officer.
Right. It's like he wants everyone to understand this is a weird situation, but we're allowed to talk about it. And also I trust Data implicitly.
Yeah, I liked it overall. I think that's part of what I liked about the episode, that it's like trying to keep the high ceiling and not just be like making some drama just for the sake of it, but rather, except in the end, which we'll get to, but
yeah.
But, you know, in general, it was like a good way to, it felt like good, how do you say, I guess just like what I said about it being open.
So Lore basically poisons him. He says you must observe all human customs. So it's a celebratory moment. So let's have a toast. And Data passes out. Lore goes into his villain speech, and Data's not even awake.
Before Dr. Soong disassembled me, I earned its gratitude by revealing the way to the colonists. Can you imagine its gratitude when I give it the life on this vessel?
Yeah, and then he kicks him in the head. I'm not sure. Maybe he's somehow aware, like. Yeah. But I really felt bad for him when he was kicked in the head. Which I didn't know how much like damage it would make, but you know, you do think of it as like a human, and it's like very dangerous. You should not kick people in the head.
No, yeah, he kicks him twice too, and he's got super strength, so.
Oh yeah, that too.
He was strong enough to pop Data's head a little bit.
But I don't know if we knew if Data eats anything, so he could like drink this liquid. It seems like.
Yeah, he's like Mork. He squirts it out of his finger later. So Worf says Data's down there sending out a signal. For some reason, they send Wesley to go investigate. Like, yeah, let's send and that's when the handsome guy smiles into camera. It's like, what's going on here? And now Laura's like pretending to be Data. His facial twitch is still going. And he tells Wesley that Laura attacked him. We see his facial twitch, and Wes is like, you should probably stop imitating Laura, whatever. Yeah. And he's super suspicious.
Yeah. And also, but I didn't like that he talked about the, what do you call them, conjectives? Like
conjunction or contractions?
Contractions? I thought it was conjective. Okay, that's not at all the same. But like he said that it was like, I didn't like that they pointed it out because I think that's too obvious. Even though I would not have caught it if they hadn't pointed it out, but I think that's fine if you don't catch it. It was like a silly thing for Wesley to be like, by the way, you are like, because they already talked about it. I think it was much more like in the lore villain speech, it made more sense to bring it up because it's kind of gloating.
Yeah, I think it's a function of it's TV. So after the commercial, they got to remind, maybe somebody came in late. They got to remind them that Data can't do that.
Yeah, but I feel like they didn't really need to point it out. I think that they could have just kept Wesley noticing it, and if you don't follow, then you can still be like, oh, he's suspicious for some reason. You don't have to know that it's specifically about him noticing the slip up.
Yeah, so Wesley goes up to the bridge. He tells him how something hinky's going on, but he doesn't spell it out. And then Data shows up. Well, Datalore shows up and apparently has told everyone about his off switch. Right? And Dr. Crusher's like, that's a quick reversal. What's that about?
Yeah, I think in the sense that he says, like, I had to turn Lore off. So then he has explained that it's possible to turn them off.
Yeah. The crystalline entity shows up. He won't communicate. It's moving super fast. And Lore is like hella into it. He goes, beautiful, isn't it? And it made me think that this guy's kink is power. It's like destructive power is just his deal. It's now that we see the effect, and it is beautiful. It's really intricate. It's got all these reflective surfaces. And the ship is dwarfed by it. So Geordi runs in. He said he looked through the window, and he can't make sense of it. He hasn't the slightest idea what it is. Picard asks Data to question Lore about it. And it's now that Wes starts speaking up. And Picard shuts him down. Riker says, oh, this is my fault. Poor training. And they usher Wes out of the bridge.
That's when it's become too much, like, just... because, like we talked about, it's very... Do you even call it high ceiling? Is that a concept in English?
High ceiling?
It's like when... High ceiling, it's like when you have a lot of space. Like you're allowed to mention anything. So it's not going to be like, no, don't say that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it called high ceiling? What is it called?
I don't know. I can't even think of an idiom for that.
Let's have the high ceiling then. It's like in Swedish we call it högt i tak, and it means like to have a high ceiling. So there's a lot of space to mention this, which is maybe it's a more of a Swedish expression because we love high ceiling, so we want to have it all the time. Even though it's not always successful. It can be very stupid organization sometimes when there is not. But I think that's when it really becomes very noticeable when they suddenly it's like, you're not allowed to say this.
At that point, Riker should have been like, Captain, you're being a dick to children.
Yeah,
remember episode
that's
1?
true.
We don't do that.
Yeah, it's sad that I feel like they dropped this too soon. It would have been more fun if he hated children still. So they could have explained it in that case. But yeah, but maybe it's like I think that they could have managed to do it well, but they would have to build up to it more, because there has been a lot of suspicion. There has been a lot of like, okay, but can we trust him? And he said, like, I do trust him. So then it could have been this thing that Wesley kind of makes him flip and be like, that is enough, you can't just go on all the time and just be like, mistrust him. Now I'm tired of it.
And in the military, the chain of command is like critical. Wes should have said, Commander, if I may, that kind of thing, rather than talk directly to the captain.
I don't know. That is stupid. I don't. That's probably why I couldn't really follow it.
Yeah, so this is when it's getting pretty scary, because Lore could just kill them with a punch, right? So it's like real tense. They come in to look at fake Lore, and he starts messing with Data's off switch to suggest that he's getting violent.
It didn't seem that dangerous, but...
And Riker does not cover himself with glory this time. He just buys into this completely. And after they leave, Lore kicks Data in the head.
Yeah.
Back up on the bridge, Wes suggests that Lore is faking it, that he's pretending to be Data. Picard says, "You're out of line." He says, "Shut up, Wesley." Oh, that's later, but yeah, that's a thing that happens.
That also feels like that's not professional at all. You could say something else.
Absolutely
I
not.
don't know where this all came from.
The crystalline entity moves closer. It's fucking with their shields. They've got their weapons on. And that's when Lore walks in. He says, "Let me talk to it." And Picard's like, "I didn't know you could do that." Like, since when? They're just so dense. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Crystal form, I identify myself as Data, advising you to stop your attack." He says, "The humans here are powerful, capable of injuring or even destroying you." Which is a real flex. Not the most diplomatic way to behave a new species. They never even talk about first contact protocols with this thing.
Yeah.
He says we could use the transporter to send a living thing, a tree, over there, which in Star Trek canon cannot be done. You can't create actual living things.
Yeah.
You can create them in the holodeck as sort of like facsimiles, but you can't like make crops, right? You have to have a hydroponic garden or something.
Oh, so they don't make any food or anything? Like making...
They can, it's very subtle. They can make the food, but like it's not actually alive. It's a weird distinction. So it's why they have to get, when they hang out with Klingons, they have to get like Gach imported because it's living worms.
Oh, okay.
Disgusting.
I've been looking forward to Gach. Haven't had it for quite a while. Very fresh.
So he calls Riker instead of Commander. Like all these things are huge red flags. Picard says, "Make it so," and he's like, what does that mean? And Picard's like, "What the fuck?" And Wesley's like, finally Wes can't take it anymore. He's like, "Hello, obviously not Data." And that's when Picard says, "Shut up, Wesley."
Shut up, Wesley.
But do you think that when Picard was like, "Make it so," that he was trying to pretend that he was Data, and therefore he was like, "Oh, I don't understand this expression," because it could have been, but it seemed like...
Honestly, when he ate the entire ship's database, he should have come across Data going, "Yes, Captain," as in response. I don't know.
No, but I think that was just text. But I saw it as him being like, "Okay, I have to pretend to be Data," and then he was like misunderstanding something that Data would not, because he had learned it.
Absolutely. So they send Worf to keep an eye on him. He sends the doctor out. Like the doctor says, "Shut up, Wesley."
Yeah.
And then he's like, please go watch your son.
Shut up, Wesley.
Like, it's a very odd moment.
Yeah.
Lore beats up Warp in the elevator. It's like
I really
itching
like
for
that.
Some action. He really wants to mix it up. It's so funny.
Yeah, we have not really seen that much fighting. All of the fighting has been much more like with weapons. So I like that they had a scene where they were actually fighting. It feels almost like unexpected because you're so used to it being... there are action scenes sometimes, but it's not been like this kind of physical threat that they can actually fight.
It's almost like he's like, "Oh, a Klingon. I can actually like throw a little weight behind this punch and not kill him."
Yeah.
But at the same time, who gives a shit? Like, you're beating up an officer in the turbolift. You must not care about being secretive anymore. Why not?
Yeah, that's true.
Wes talks Crusher into examining Data, or who she thinks is Lore. And Data wakes up and he's immediately on top of the situation. He's like, "Let's go to the cargo bay where Lore is fixing to send that tree." And in the cargo bay, Lore is just exultant. He's like Goldfinger, like chuckling about his plans.
Yeah. I like the crystal voice that they play. I think it's in this scene.
Very good. You've understood perfectly so far.
Oh, the crystal has a voice?
Yeah, they have like the crystal sounds. So it's like, yes, you know, you're... Oh. I don't remember. Now maybe I'm not remembering exactly how the conversation goes, but it's kind of like... Woo.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
So Data confronts him. He says, "You make me wish I were an only child."
Ooh.
And Lore is just getting real human, bitchy reactions. He threatens to kill Wesley. Like, just a colossal dickhead.
Yeah.
Crusher's like, puts a gun on him. She's like, "If you dare to hurt my son... if you take one more step towards my son." Motherhood. And then he throws Data, takes the Fraser. And then he says with Wesley, "I promise him exquisite pain. Do you see now the advantages of being completely human? It includes kindness." He sends the doctor away. Data says he'll stay with Wesley. The doctor runs off. And he says, "Thank you for my human qualities, Dr. Soong." And he shoots Dr. Crusher in the arm.
Yeah.
It must not be on stun because she doesn't pass out. And then we get a robot fight. They're throwing each other around, knocking over barrels.
Yeah, I didn't like this fight as much. I thought that it seemed like if they're supposed to fight, they should be really strong. So it would be better to have something like the showcase this. But these barrels seemed very light and was not so scary.
The Next Generation has a lot of fun with these barrels. And yeah, they never look heavy. Like even when it's a normal person moving them around. So like when Data does it, you know, I almost think they should have had a scene earlier of like the human characters trying to move the barrels and Data like lifting it up easily.
I think that the problem was though that one of them fell into the barrels and you could see that they fell very easily.
They're wobbling
and
around,
I don't think that they are that heavy, the androids, I mean, so it wouldn't make sense for them to so if they had made it so like, for example, they fall against the barrels but the barrels are stuck, so they like boom.
All they had to do was put some sand in them, but I think it's purely to protect the stunt people.
No, but I think that the main problem was that the barrels fell very easily. But if they had fallen like slowly, but then or not fallen, you know, and been very stable, and then they pick them up and throw them around, and then you know have them hit something and like you know it breaks or something.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little bit lazy. I think that they could have had light barrels.
God. Why not just have them have a fist fight? They don't need to be chucking barrels.
Yeah.
Oh, silly. I really think the production designer like thought they were onto something with these barrels.
Yeah, could be. But I also do think that it's a little bit interesting, or not interesting, but like I would have liked it to be some kind of contest of mind, you know, so that it does seem a little bit boring that in the end it's like, oh, let's fight physically, because that is not, I don't know how you would do it.
It doesn't showcase the differences between them.
No,
really.
It could have been interesting if it was something like something that Data learned in the academy maybe, so that's like, oh, you didn't know this, you know, this is something that
I think what they're doing is showing us Wesley's heroism, that he chose to stay in the room despite barrels flying all over the place. But it also shows that Data understands humans in a way that he's like, Wes chose to stay, so I'm going to use his talents, right? So people working together, Starfleet, doing what they do is how you defeat this evil villain rather than a single mano a mano fight. So it's a little more complicated than just guys throwing barrels at each other.
Yeah.
Wes turns on the transporter. Data chucks him in. And Wes pulls the trigger and out he goes. And this is where I went, holy shit, this is Wesley's first kill. He's just literally murdered somebody.
But is he killed, or did he's thrown into space or something?
Well, that's interesting. A human would be dead, but a robot who doesn't have to... Interesting. So it's not Wesley's first kill. I wrote here, he will get 0 therapy for this, but he doesn't need it because he didn't actually kill the guy.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
It would have been funny, though, if we had cut to the wide shot and the crystal entity just obliterates Lore.
Yeah. I mean, it's very likely that something like that happened. But I feel, since you are not saying something about maybe him returning, I think it would have been a fun way to be able to have him return if he's like teleported away.
Yeah, I can't say one way or the other. I don't want to spoil your enjoyment.
Yeah.
So the crystal entity moves away. Data seems kind of upset, but he says he's fine. Picard says, go fix that twitch. And sends him off. He's like, go fix your uniform.
I like that because they have been kind of unnerved about this, and then he's just like, no, you have to return yourself, so that I don't feel suspicious that we threw out the wrong guy or something.
Picard tells Wesley to go back to the bridge, but he doesn't apologize.
No.
Which I find very strange. I wish back in the day this show had a serialized component where he could like say to Wesley, you were right, I was wrong, I'm gonna correct that, and be more trusting of you. But none of that happens. Picard asks Riker something about like, is Data more human than we are?
No, that's not what he said. He said like, wait, I wrote it down because I thought it was like, I liked it actually. It's like, is he more or less human than, like, did you ever ask if Data was more or less human than we wanted? Because because it's like in the sense that Lore said that, I was like too much human, and then I guess Picard is like saying like, oh, we never thought like that, right? And then that they never wanted Data to be more or less human. They didn't have a preference.
Yeah, I think that's the emotional core of this episode is we're going to accept Data exactly who he is and not get into like questions of better or worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Riker says, I only wish we were all as well balanced, sir. Really cool. Agreed. And that's the end of the episode.
Yes.
Pretty good ending. Not all season 1 episodes end, on a high note. A lot of times they're damp squibs.
Yeah. And I think overall it was good. Like, it was only the part about Picard shooting Wesley down. And I think that they could have just done it in a slightly different way. It was not that it was like completely unquestionable. It was just maybe a little bit too blunt,
Mm-hmm. Shut up, Wesley. I think they just wanted that joke where like Dr. Crusher's like, Captain, what the fuck? And then she's like, shut up, Wesley.
Maybe it wasn't that funny.
I bet that freaked kids out watching it for the first time. Like, Daddy's being mean to me.
Yeah, totally. But I think, and I think maybe they could have had like, if Wesley would have acted more out of line, then it could have somehow worked. But now it felt like it's because of the way that you have to be able to raise things like, okay, this is a problem, or like I see this. You can't just be like, no, you're not allowed to talk to me.
Yeah, and I think on a real vessel, Wesley might have been like, Captain, can I speak to you in quarters or something like, but I think they're ratcheting up the tension. It's like Lore could do something crazy at any moment. Like, I have to speak now. Like, there's no time to wait. Any other thoughts on this episode?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Would you like to watch another episode of Star Trek, or you want to head somewhere
absolutely.
else? Okay.
We can watch the weird one, like you talked about.
The Naked
Is it
Now.
or should I just watch it separate, maybe, if you don't feel like it's interesting enough to actually discuss?
I'm sure we could find some interesting things to say about it. Why don't you watch it and tell me if you even want to talk about it, because we might have to watch it a second time. If it's that excruciating, we could skip. Now, the next episode or two are pretty unpleasant. The next one, it's like a planet of like super badass aggressive women, and the men are all like second class citizens, and Riker gets into a relationship with the boss, and it's very awkward. What's the next one? The next one is the Bynars, just terrible. So I think episode 15 might be the next one I'd want to watch. The descriptions don't really help very much on the Paramount site. But I'll look into it. So yeah, Naked Now for next time, and then we'll see where we go from there. Any recommendations?
But no, I don't get it. Like you talked, I should watch Naked Now and see if that is something that we want to cover. Is that it?
Yeah. So we'll talk offline, and if you hate it, we'll find a better one.
Okay. Yes.
Maybe a few episodes down the line here. Any recommendations?
I did enjoy the Superman movie that just came out. But I will add that I have not seen any Superman movies, so I don't know if I'm the best judge. But, it could be a good judging, because it's like, if you have not seen any Superman movies and you like movies that maybe are a little bit, what would you call it? That they have... I don't know how to explain it.
They have other stuff going on? They're not just superhero?
No, I just mean that it's like a little bit maybe self-critical or something. So then you would probably like it.
Cool. Let's see. I already talked on the other one about how I'm reading Gene Wolfe again. I'm looking at my various apps. Oh, I got the autobiography of Catherine Janeway, but I haven't really started it. And I just borrowed Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky, but I haven't listened to that yet. So I think I'm out of recommendations for now. I did watch something cool on TV. Oh, The Studio on Apple Plus with Seth Rogen. It's like a movie studio trying to keep movies alive. It's pretty good. A straight up comedy. So, yeah, that's it. How do people find you? Oh, they don't find you. So if you want to reach Sophia through us, it's greatandseknotknowledge@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. Spread the word. Tell people what we're doing over here. And like us, rate, review, all that stuff. So, I think that'll do it. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sophia. And there's only one way we can cap this episode, right?
Shut up, Wesley.
A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James.